Right now, we turn to the Motor City, where a couple of prominent media voices have opposing views on Rick Wagoner. With me now is Nolan Finley, editorial page editor for the Detroit News, and Nancy Skinner, whose nationally syndicated radio show originates from Detroit. She also ran against Barack Obama in the 2004 U.S. Senate primary in Illinois. Now, Nolan and Nancy, here's what the president had to say about GM's now former CEO.
After broad consultation with a range of industry experts and financial advisors, I'm absolutely confident that GM can rise again, providing that it undergoes a fundamental restructuring. As an initial step, GM is announcing today that Rick Wagoner is stepping aside as chairman and CEO. This is not meant as a condemnation of Mr. Wagoner, who's devoted his life to this company and has had a distinguished career. Rather, it's a recognition that will take new vision and new direction to create the GM of the future.
So, Nolan, what's going on here? Is Rick Wagoner the fall guy?
Well, of course he's the fall guy. And the issue, Roland, really isn't whether Rick Wagoner deserved to go or didn't deserve to go. General Motors is still a private company. It is owned by shareholders. Those shareholders elected a board of directors. That board has the oversight and fiduciary responsibility to fire and hire executives. And this is an extraordinary reach by the president into a private company to remove the head of the organization. And it stands in stark contrast to the way he's treated the banks. The banks have received 35, 40 times more money than these auto companies have asked for, and they've gotten it with no questions asked, no rules.
Nancy, what about that? I mean, is it a smart move by the president to force Wagoner out, or is it a bad decision on their part to really go this deep into private business?
Well, that's the thing about tough love, you know. The bad news is tough. The good news is the word love is in there. The president said fundamentally restructure this industry so it survives. And that's what he intends to do. And Rick Wagoner's not going to be the guy to do it. So what? So be it. You know what? A lot of people, there's a lot of apologists like Nolan in Detroit who for a long time have not really called them on the carpet on this. The good news is this, is that President Obama realizes that the technology is in the pipeline with GM, with Ford, not so much with Chrysler. They didn't have the great green advanced technology, but these other companies do. And he realizes that, and he's going to get his team and the resources of the government to mine that, restructure the whole industry. And it's beyond even the technology for the automotive, Roland. We're talking the technology that comes out of Michigan is in multiple industries. The president understands the stakes. He's not walking away from this industry. If Rick Wagoner has to go and we have to find new players to do this, so be it. We will move on, and so will this country.
Now, Nolan, you heard all of that, and you heard Nancy talk about the technology. First of all, she also called you an apologist for the big three. But look,
that's kind of her.
But look, even the White House, they've come out and said that, look, all their technology thus far, it's not going to make a difference in terms of the boat because it's going to cost too much money. And so what about that? If they're even saying that, well, then what's left to really save?
Well, I mean, that assumes that this administration and this auto task force knows more about making cars and knows more about automotive technology than the big three do. It's interesting to note, it should be noted, that of the 22 auto panelists and their top staff, only 3 drive American vehicles. They almost all live on the coast. They don't know, they don't have a clue what's going on in Detroit's research and development operations. These companies spend more than $12 billion a year on research and development, and they're constantly being jerked around by the government. First it's ethanol, then it's hydrogen, now it's electric. All that money going into research, and the government can't make up its mind which technology it's going to support, and we expect it to do a better job of running these companies.
Nancy, about 30 seconds. Look, GM had the car of the year. They have all kind of accolades left and right. Buick tied first place in terms of quality. So they're making great cars. They're making quality cars. The president alluded to that. Well, then, if they're already doing that, what's left to do? Who's going to buy the cars now? What's going on?
We got to You got to incentivize it, just like the credit markets. You got to make it leaner, greener, meaner, and then have incentives for people to buy American cars. You got to get that going again, and we will survive this and be the comeback story of this entire global meltdown. I assure you of that, Roland.
Nolan, Nancy, we appreciate it. By the way, Rick Wagoner's going to pick up $20 million as well, so he's not going away.
He's okay.
He's okay. He's okay.